Candace Owens back at it again. Okay, well, we're continuing on with now we're doing white people's business. And by that I mean Candace Owens. Candace Owens, they're white people's bravest warrior. Okay, God has given Candace Owens the strongest warrior for the whites, the toughest of battles. And she's out and about. She made a new documentary. Kanye West went to the documentary release. Let's see what Candace had to say today.
We've now somehow gotten into the society where people are pretending what we're doing is equality, and it's not. If we have ever achieved equality in this country, then you wouldn't blink if anybody says, Asian lives matters, no one blinks. Black lives matter, no one blinks. But white lives matter, they fell apart, right? They fell apart because they actually, and I will stand by this as much as I possibly can, and I will be.
I've already talked about this earlier. There was a TikTok that we watched that, and if you want to know like the difference between white lives matter and anything else, and why it's silly to even continue with this like ridiculous narrative that Candace herself knows very well is a ridiculous narrative that she's extending. White supremacist one. I recommend you watch my video that I did on Kanye. I think it was maybe What Is Kanye Doing? Or Kanye Explains It All on Tucker Carlson interview. Both of those videos probably cover the difference, okay, between saying white lives matter and anything else is built around having power, and other non-white subgroups can be perceived as white, can be brought into the white umbrella, can be a part of the in-group. But whiteness in and of itself is a concept built around exclusion. There are plenty of white that you now consider white, like Italians, Greek, Polish, Jewish people, Middle Eastern people, Latinos that were originally not considered, Irish, that were originally not considered white, and until they were. Whiteness cannot be defined on what it is. It can only be defined on what it's not. And what whiteness is not, so it can only be defined by the boundaries and its proximity to blackness. The YouTube video, White People Don't Exist, was also good and educational. I have for similar videos on other topics. Yes. It's a historical societal thing, not a biological race. Yes. That's why I say I'm white all the time. I'm pale as I can't dance. I have no rhythm whatsoever. Sometimes I say things like, listen here, buddy. But then Twitch is like, you can't say the C word. Why can't I say it? According to Twitch, depending on what degree of racist you are, I am not. You see what I'm saying? Quite literally Caucasian. And there are motherfuckers out there that are like, you're Muslim, dog. You're Turkish. You're too hairy. You're trying to bring back Benjamin Franklin levels of racism. But I'm still white. I got white skin. I still have all the privileges, until they realize until depending on who is looking at me, realizes I'm not. You know what I mean? But I am. I'm in stealth mode. Yeah. Get back to Candace.
The loudest voice. The actually worst thing to be in this society, if one thing I would not want to be, is a straight white male. For some reason, that's considered problematic, right? You have to be something. It's like people lie.
Yeah, what's the reason? Candace knows what the reason is, but her entire job is to act like there is no reason. Her entire job is to whitewash white supremacy. Her entire job is to be the black female face to white supremacy so that other racist aunts, grandmas, grandpas on Facebook can share her videos and say, hey, look, this is one of the good ones. She's saying it. Why can't I? That's her job.
Lie. They're lying on college applications. They're like, okay, I'm white, but I'm also trans. And you're like, what? Why are you pretending? Because, I don't want people to think I'm too normal, right? And people, they're just trying to find something that makes them not white, right? And it's really staggering to think that once upon a time, that is exactly what the experience was for a black American, that being a black American.
That's so funny. Yeah, no, it's the same. One, white people are apparently lying about being trans, which she just made up. And two, black people are, hiding and lying about being white. And for the record, that's also a really weird thing that she's just dropping in there. One, if that was real, it's done for security. Okay, so you don't get murdered. Ultimately, it's not, because how the can you hide that you're not black? Fuck does that work?
American was so problematic that you weren't.
By the way, I'm never reading your thesis. On your earlier point, okay, I'm going to read it. $10 thesis here. I think it's because Africans view themselves based on which country they're from their perspective. They're Kenyan, Ghanaian, or Nigerian, not African American. They view the way African Americans are treated or something brought on because we are African American, and they think we should be excluded from that treatment because they're from a different country. Because black as a culture is definable. Why? Because it's a culture built around intergenerational trauma, shared trauma. It's a culture that black people were forced to create. Black people, specifically African descendants of slaves, don't know if they're from Kenya. They're just black. Why? Because chattel slavery happened. Their language was ripped away from them. Their culture was ripped away from them. They were depersonalized. They were dehumanized. You're not black and you should never speak on black people, dumbass. Says Greedy the Goat 6. I should stop talking about white supremacy as a political commentator in a country that was built around white supremacy. That's a 1,000% a white person trying to instigate that. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, let's let Candace talk instead. After all, she's black, right? Listen, Sweaty. You dare not talk. You dare not talk over a black woman about black issues, okay? That's how you get owned as a liberal, by the way. That's how you can weaponize identity politics. That's how reactionary people do weaponize identity politics, which is ironic considering that right-wingers despise it, right? Supposedly. They don't. They just love it when it works in their favor. Don't be a sucker.
At once upon a time, that is exactly what the experience was for a black American, that being a black American was so problematic that you weren't going to be allowed into the room. Now you have the exact same thing happening reverse, and you have liberals trying to convince you that that's equality. It's not. All lives matter, and that's including white lives matter, you know?
Black Lives Matter's main message, which is all lives matter, but black lives don't matter at this moment. And black lives are a part of all lives, and flipped it on its head. What a horrible person. What a horrible person, dude. Absolutely drives me crazy how conservatives portray racism as only ever hurting people's feelings. I don't think we are redlining white people. We aren't subjugating them in slavery. We aren't making them go to distinct schools. Yeah, that's the main difference, right? Without any sort of like systems of oppression, racism is just a mean word. And because a lot of racist people refuse to recognize systemic racism, both its history and its contemporary implications, they always try to make the argument about, oh, well, it's hurting people's feelings. What is this? Todd Bowles didn't get the woke memo on NFL racism, didn't listen to the questions he gets from left-wing reporters and his responses. I don't know anything about Todd Bowles. I don't know what the this is.
You and Mike Tomlin are two of the few black head coaches in the league. I wonder what your relationship is like with them and your thoughts on Steve Wilkes.
I have a very good relationship with Tomlin. We don't look at what color we are when we coach against each other. We just know each other. I have a lot of very good white friends that coach in this league as well, and I don't think it's a big deal as far as us being coaching against each other. I think it's normal. Wilkes got an opportunity to do a good job. Hopefully.
It's such a dumb question. What the fuck? I mean, the question itself is like kind of stupid. What do you mean? Like, it is a stupid question. I mean, it might get dumb. His answer might get silly with it, but the original question is just like kind of stupid.
And we coach ball. We don't look at color. Well, when you say you see you guys and look like them and grow up like them, means that we're oddballs to begin with. And I think the minute you guys stop making a big deal about it, everybody else will as well.
You and Mike Tomlin.
I mean, yeah, that's like, goddamn, that's such a, I mean, he's an old man, dude. I don't know what else to say about that. This guy actually mad when she says, do you understand representation matters? I mean, I don't like anyone in this saga. I don't like the sports reporters being so like is it patronizing? Yeah, just patronizing towards like a black dude, right? It's like, you understand representation matters, right? But also at the same time it's like his answer is like typical, which is, you know, the moment that you stop looking at color is the moment that white supremacy goes away. Just the old man. People are using this to look away from the point that there are only 3 black coaches in the NFL now, and Todd is just an NFL lifer who is all football basically. Yeah. I also partially understand why people get upset at this, especially if you're a black person in a position of power. The hidden implication, the underlying implication about representation always revolves around like, well, did you get your job because you didn't actually deserve it, but because you were black? So it does rob black people in positions of power of their own, laurels. He got there because I assume, I don't know anything, but I assume he's a good coach. I assume he's a good player. You know what I mean? But that implication is there. An example I've used on this is what Joe Brandon has said about like getting a black female in the Supreme Court of the United States, right? Like just do that without saying you're going to do that. Like, why are you giving the game away? Like, why is that the game? You know what I mean? Like, Ketanji Brown Jackson is, as far as Supreme Court justices goes, great. I mean, she has a different background, not because she's a black woman, but because she comes from the public defender side, right? You don't have that usually. She's from a different background, not because she's a black woman, but because she's also not from one of the Ivies. So when you literally say, I am hiring a person specifically for the optics of it, you're kind of up. You're robbing her of her accomplishments. You know what I mean? Well, she went to Harvard Law, but I think she originally yeah. Well, that's how it works. You know how it is. Oh wait, I thought Ketanji didn't go to. I thought she went to. I thought undergrad she went somewhere else. Am I wrong? I thought she went to Harvard Law, but undergrad she went somewhere else. What am I thinking of? Oh, I'm sorry, guys. Oh yeah, no, she got her AB and JD at Harvard. I was wrong about that. You don't become a justice with light going to an Ivy. It's just how it works here. Sorry for spreading misinformation. Fake news. You got me. I'm doing fake news. I'm a grifter.